Generally, this is a region that has yielded a lot of tier one assets.
Well, hello and welcome to Assay TV. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Nana Sangmuah, who is the President, CEO and Director of Roscan Gold Corporation. Nana, great to see you today from your flat there, or your house there in Toronto.
Thanks, Leo, for having me on the show. Very delighted to be with you.
Fantastic. Last time we spoke, about a year ago, down in Cape Town in February last year, 2020, the pandemic was still in its infancy, and you had only recently, I think, joined the company. I think you joined in December 2019. When you joined the company, I think Roscan had a market cap of around about 19 million Canadian. Today, it's sitting on about 110. So obviously, a lot of growth over a very difficult, challenging first year for you. How have you managed to sort of keep things going in terms of your exploration activity and in terms of your financings over the course of the last year?
Thanks a lot. It's been quite a difficult year for most, as you would imagine, and the pandemic hasn't been easy on everybody running a business globally. Luckily, we were able to get executives on the ground very early in the game when the pandemic was starting, and we established some stringent COVID protocols. So obviously, non-essential staff were not allowed anywhere near the drill sites. Regular hand washing, nose mask, and safe distancing measures were strictly put in place, and we actually limited visiting to the camp for any non-essential events. And knock on wood, we've been able to go through till date without recording any incidents on site. And I think what actually has helped us too is, aside our stringent protocols that we put in place, all our drill contractors have their own COVID protocols as well. So it's sort of protocol on protocol, which has helped us sort of make things double safe for us. So we haven't lost a day through the pandemic, and we've actually increased our drill fleet through the pandemic. And some of our contractors have been very supportive, and they've been able to navigate all odds, bringing us rigs when borders are closing. And it's sort of been a very good team effort.
That's a great achievement. So Roscan Gold, you're actively drilling and exploring a wide mineralized trend in Mali in West Africa. Do you want to tell us, first of all, just for those of our listeners who don't know about Roscan Gold, tell us a little bit about the area that you're drilling, the extent of these. It's 5 main mineralized trends. What's been the focus of your drilling there?
Yeah, so we've gotten about 5 advanced targets, and we own a new first order structure, which was relatively unknown. All the exploration dollars had been concentrated on the main SMZ that had yielded significant deposits like Lulu, Fekola, Boto, and Guancoto. And the thinking for the most part was, as you go further east, you don't get a lot of these hydrothermal altered systems and sharing. And we've proven that not to be accurate as we advance work on this new order structure that we have. We've made at least, we've converted 4 of our 10 priority targets into discoveries already, showing good hydrothermal alteration systems. And generally, this is a region that has yielded a lot of tier one assets. And as we continue to bulk our presence by picking up more land in that part of the world, which has been really delineated and produced over 50 million ounces, we think we're enhancing the probability of picking up maybe a couple of tier one assets as we go along. So it's been a very exciting start, and it always starts with the discoveries, and you build them out and you come into the direction.
And within the overall sort of Kandiole project, there's a number of key zones that you've been working on in 2020, I believe. If we could sort of focus in on some of those now. So MANKOUKE South Tell us what you've been doing there in the past year.
So MANKOUKE South was our target priority number one when we started in 2020. We started with a 10,000 meter budget and a hope and a prayer to find something. And essentially we were successful with the target priority number one, which was MANKOUKE South. So we quickly expanded our drill campaign to 30,000 meters. And that's where it became a combination of not only MANKOUKE South, but testing the regional campaigns to see what we could also find there. And we did something differently from most of our peers who normally shut down in the rainy season, but we carefully mapped out targets that had good laterite cover that we could access efficiently during the rainy season, and stepped up our campaign on the regional front and managed to pick up 3 new discoveries, and essentially eventually moved our drill budgets to 45,000 meters, and we exceeded that for the year. So the new targets that we have discovered are relatively less known than our priority target number one, which we drilled out most of the year, and people have a good sense of understanding of the widths and the grades, the potential to build resource there. But that's exactly what we want to replicate on the newer targets and bring people up the understanding level. I think that will bring the valuation of these targets into our stock. But I would say that these targets, new targets, are quite significant and they could be company makers on their own.
Those targets, what's that, the Kandiole North, WALIA and MOUSSALA North?
Correct.
Discovered over the course of just 2 months. You had 3 discoveries, sort of bang, bang, bang. What sort of grades were you hitting there?
Well, I mean, in WALIA, we were getting grades of up to 77 grams and 21 grams, and our subsequent work in WALIA has picked up a parallel fracture that's also coming in with grades of 24 and 33 grams. So it looks like a big system, and that is on a ground that we acquired sometime during mid-year for 3 million and change. And we picked along that acquisition, we picked up a resource, 140,000 ounce resource KABAYA, which we've drilled and expanded as well. So those were the grades we got at WALIA. MOUSSALA North was giving us grades that were similar to what we're seeing at our primary discovery, MANKOUKE South, and they were getting widths of about 32 meters, 5 grams material. And we subsequently actually drilled that one and extended mineralization a little bit deeper. We're happy to share that to the street in due course. And Kandiole North was kind of quite exciting because we got 3 discoveries, KN1, KN2, KN3. After that campaign, KN1 is the most extensive, chased over 1,500 kilometer length, and basically we getting some decent grades, 3 grams over 10 meters and 2.4 of 20 meters, and we currently drilling those deeper as we try to expand where the system come from.
I mean, you mentioned there the KABAYA project that you acquired, I think, in July last year. You put in 23 holes to date, I think, and every hole came up with some mineralization. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it was about 100% success rate. Everything hit, and we actually extended the strike by 500 meters to the north. It looked like there's a parallel system available to be chased as well. But essentially, what was more exciting was the fact that we were able to pull the resource envelope much deeper. So the vertical end of the resource we inherited was up to 60 meters, and we intersect in grades close to 2 grams as deep as almost 200 meter vertical. So that points to the ability to significantly add to the resource profile. And in addition to the fact that they used quite a conservative gold price to calculate the resource at that time, 1350, and also applied a low recovery because they were envisioning a heap leach scenario of 80%, and the recovery we are getting now is roughly slightly over 90. There are several factors that points to an incremental or significant incremental boost, whatever we acquired.
Mm-hmm.
For the price we paid, I think it was really an attractive transaction.
Absolutely. And in terms of being able to sort of get hold of drill rigs and the speed of assay labs, I know a lot of exploration companies around the world are struggling a little bit with that at the moment, with sort of there being so much exploration activity at the moment, plus obviously the complications of COVID. You've been able to get hold of enough drill rigs, and your assays are coming back in a timely fashion?
Yeah, I mean, it was very great when we were the only ones drilling during the rainy season, and not a lot of competition at the lab. So our turnaround was, in certain cases, from 7 to 9 days. With everybody fully enforced, those are getting a little bit longer. But I think for the most part, we're not seeing things getting too outrageous. I mean, I know that some of my peers in North America and other continents are getting months of delays getting assays back. So we're probably not at that point yet, and it's very critical to be able to get results to help you plan the next holes.
Obviously, a lot of activity there, but how have you managed to pay for it all? How's the fundraising gone over the last year?
Yeah, so basically we converted a sort of a curse to a blessing. Last year we had a huge warrant overhang, but that actually ended up bringing in a lot of money as we managed to convert those warrants into shares. So we, by so doing, were able to actually introduce more longer term savvy people onto the register. And that was basically a prominent source of cash flow for us, together with a couple of capital raisings that we did. So going forward this year, I mean, the warrant picture is much improved. We're down to just about 20 million from 100 million from the start of last year. So we think this year it's actually going to be more exciting because news hits the tape will definitely have much more impact on the share price, and there's an impact of warrants being turned in. So it could be a very exciting year for us this year as well.
And so what are your immediate sort of drill targets for the next few months?
So what we did was to in order to get the knowledge curve well up there, we initiated a geophysics campaign that was going to be flown on all our target areas. And that was successfully done. And it revealed a lot because most of our discoveries were based on superficial prospecting techniques. And you definitely was not going to be able to capture deep-seated ore bodies. So we've covered that base, and we just completed the study. We learned that they've got some really deep conductors that run through our ground up to 1 kilometer in certain places. So that points to the fact that these fluids have gotten a long way to go, and a maximum depth of about 200-meter vertical that we've traced publicly on some of our advanced targets might just be scratching the surface. So we're waiting for an integrated study of all these new targets that are coming in. We've got a bit of a sneak peek, and there's quite a lot to chew on. But the point we're trying to obtain is basically we now have to show the ounce potential on the ground. We've definitely shown the productivity of the ground. So we have to go through a massive prioritization exercise so that we'll bank in our hopes. I mean, our focus would be on targets that we think have the size potential, the grade potential to deliver a good, respectable maiden resource in the Q4 quarter of the year. So that's what we're doing right now. And until that exercise is completed, we would not be able to come up with definite budgets as to what's going where. But we think that MANKOUKE South and KABAYA out to advanced targets would definitely be in that the prioritization exercise. If they're not, then that's probably going to be for good reasons or better reasons. But what we'll be doing is basically waiting for that exercise to be done. Then we would be communicating to the street, our thinking, our targeting, our budgets, and then we'll basically wait for an exciting end of the year as we come up with results.
So it's quite a nice position to be in, where you've got a whole load of targets, and your main job is actually sort of deciding which one to delve into first.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, sorry. Yeah.
I always say it's like a kid in a candy store problem, and we excited and lucky to be in that position. But I think it actually behoves on us to be more focused and pick the ones that we can actually hang some resources so that people will understand the momentum that this ground possesses.
Absolutely. Well, it's a very exciting year ahead, it sounds like. But thank you very much for that update on the company. Nana Sangmuah, thank you very much for joining us today.
It was a pleasure, and always nice to be on the show, Leo.
Thank you very much.